Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
What up, what up, what up, and welcome to the Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm the host for the night, Darius. We're here to talk Bears. I hope everyone's doing all right. How are you doing, Bradley?
I'm doing well, man. Just
Great,
trying
great.
to, just working through this continuous high of new coach.
Yes, indeed. What a high, what a high. I'm still feeling it myself. What I'm going to try to do after we come down from this is to always stay on the even plane, because as history, past history has shown us, if we get too excited, the disappoint, and if we're ever disappointment, it causes us to go against one another. So,
Yep.
I advise, what I'm saying, everybody, all the Bears fans, just stay even keel because, Rome was not built in a day, but we are going to get to the mountaintop. You can believe that. Big day, introduction day, press conference day with Ben Johnson. How you feel about it, man?
I love it. He sounds like a strong leader. He's not cliche. He sounds like his own person with a little bit of that Dan Campbell mixed in. A little bit of a smart ass, and I love it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What I got from it, and we also see how our quarterback responded to it as well. And what I got from it is that you're going to get honesty from the guy. And that's one thing that this locker room and that these guys were missing was honesty. They was missing, of course, stern coaching and accountability. But the honesty is big, and you can always tell how honest a person is. You know what I'm saying? Looking at how honest a person is with themselves.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? In the press conference, he discussed the fact that he didn't feel emotionally available to take the Bears job last year. He aspired to get the job last year, but the fact that it wasn't available wasn't the only issue that he was up against. He had internal issues with himself, and that was refreshing for me to hear because a guy that's honest with himself, what he's going to give to the players.
Yep.
And I think that was another thing that Caleb, alluded to when they talked to him. And that was one of the things they named that the players were missing. So how you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like part of that last year, his issues was maybe he didn't feel like he had the right game plan in that playoff game they played and they lost in. And, he just felt like he had some unfinished business. And probably what changed for him this year is he knew he called the right game. He knew he put the right stuff on tape on the field, and his team just didn't execute. Well, I mean, his offense executed pretty well. J-Mo threw a dumb pick. Quarterback threw 2 interceptions. One of them was in garbage time, just trying to fight back.
Yeah,
but it wasn't his fault that the defense let 50 points get put on the board. So I think he kind of came to peace with it. Realized that it was his time to take the opportunity to take a head coaching job. It's not there every cycle, and an ideal situation is not there every cycle.
Yes, indeed. And before I go any further, I'd like to thank the chat for tuning in to us tonight. I see we have about 31 individuals checking us out tonight. I would advise you guys, the newcomers that's checking us out tonight, to please like and subscribe. And welcome. You're always welcome here at Chicago Sports Podcast. Thanks for checking us out. I want to give a couple of shout outs. My guy Bruce, he's in the building. Bruce, what's popping, man? Shout out to Tracks, of course. this all can't, you know what I'm saying? Without him, none of this could happen.
Yep.
But getting back into this press conference, man, we saw the players there. You know, not only Caleb, but you
Yeah.
saw Caleb and the weapons. You know what I'm saying? To play out Gladys Knight and the Pips. You know what I'm saying? You seen
Yep.
Caleb and the rest of the guys. That was also good to see. But what do you? Okay, when all of the glitz and the glamour, you know, when all the luster kind of like fades in and things kind of become normalized.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the first things you expect to see out of this out of the coaching staff and to the players?
Yeah, so when the new wears off, I totally expect to see these players that are, as Ben Johnson called them, repeat offenders. He's very familiar with this team. Don't forget, he's from this division.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very, very acquainted to this team, whether he's been in the building or not. He knows who the issue players are. I look for those players to start being held accountable pretty much day one.
Yes, indeed.
I think the new wears off after this weekend. I'm going to be honest with you. But Wednesday, the fans have more time than the team does.
Yeah.
And the coach has to get acquainted with everybody personally. But I think he holds everybody that is an issue accountable. He even holds the ones that aren't an issue accountable. I think it starts this weekend.
Yeah. And you know, I could not agree with you more, man. Accountability is a huge thing, and we do. Unfortunately, looking at the roster as it currently sits, there are going to be some guys on that roster that will not be here come season when the season starts next season.
Yep.
So it may be either they're bad character guys or just don't mesh with the unit, or you know, Johnson just deciding to go into a new direction in certain areas, or you know what I'm saying, they just don't fit. You know, because that's the real thing as well.
Yep.
I'm looking for him to first thing first, get the bad seeds out. But also I like to see the guys that he brings in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, because you know, this system is not a very complex system, but it does require a few things. Now we're going to address these things in the draft and also free agency. Now, if you had your choice, you know, what kind of guys would you like to see come in here?
I mentioned it to Trax last night. I think Rome can be our speedster. He's not quite as fast as JMO. He's not a burner at 4.2, but he is a speedster. He's got separation abilities down the field. We could use him for that, but I'd like to see him bring in a speedster. I know I put out a chat to the guys, and EQ St. Brown, he's interested in coming back. Sounds like. He's not going to get you 1,000 yards a season and 20 touchdowns, but what he is going to do is he's going to be a leader in that wide receiver room. He's going to block his ass off when he is in and blocking on run plays or, wide receiver screens for DJ. He's going to block his ass off. It's not going to be any of that letting a safety come down and shoot the gap like we seen last year and blow up the play 3 yards short. We need guys like that. They're giving it their all every single play. And we need some dogs, man. We need some dogs.
True indeed. True indeed. Now, I heard a little rumor. I don't know how true it is, but this is what I heard. I heard that, unfortunately, Keenan might not be back. Keenan Allen may not be back. Unfortunate, but I think a good thing may come out of it because I think Caleb can return back to 13.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to see him in 13, or would you like to see him keep the 18?
If the Bears are going to do the right thing and help everybody out that has an 18 jersey, hook them up with a 13. But man, that would suck for everybody else.
Yeah, I feel you.
The regular fans. I don't have any preference to his jersey number. I think it's kind of cool. It's Peyton Manning's jersey number. They're both highly touted coming out of college. And
True.
I mean, it's just a legendary number at the quarterback position.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Plank. Shout out to Alex Flicks, Not Cool Channel. He says he likes the Lions. We have no problem with you liking the Lions. But
we don't have a problem with the Lions. We're just not Lions fans.
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't have said it no better, Brad. Shout out to James. James Childress in the building. Um, Plank. What's good, Plank? Bear down, sir. Let me see who else
Dakota
we
says we have to bring in 3 linemen with the first 3 picks.
Ooh.
You know, you can go that route, but there's also free agency. Don't forget about that, Dakota.
Yes, indeed.
We got a couple big boys. They're a little older in free agency this year. We highlighted Taylor from the Chiefs last night. We highlighted Zach Martin. I don't remember that one other guy that we talked about last night. He's got a funky last name. I don't know how to say it, so I'm gonna stay away from it.
Yeah.
But you know, there's 3 hogs right there, man, that are just they're good players. They're not just rookies coming in that are gonna help. They're gonna make a difference.
There's another great thing about having Johnson in the building so early. We understand what direction we now want to go as far as personnel. Like
Yes.
we kind of have an identity set. You know, just looking at the blueprint that was laid down with the Lions. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't have to be exactly like those guys, but we have an idea of what we're going to be, what to look forward to as far as personnel. You know, now shout out to Dakota Miller. Like and subscribe if you already haven't. And he's exactly right to address the trenches. The trenches do need attention. Excuse me. But we can do that in a plethora of ways. So, you know, the draft is definitely not the only way. And I do believe that we need some veteran leadership on this line. We need somebody that some guys that's gonna come in that understand what Johnson wants out of the front line. And I don't think there'll be no better guy to do that'll be available to us than the one Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah.
You know, being that he's already played under Ben in this system, he can be a teacher to these young guys because believe it or not, the Bears have a very young group. You know, we can all say they're this and they're that, but we cannot omit the fact that these are young guys. Young guys need teaching, and unfortunately, we didn't have the proper teacher in here. You know, shout out to Chris Morgan, but see you on the other side, sir.
Yeah. Hopefully his grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, hopefully.
It was dark brown, and there's no coming back from what he had. That dude had sand in the front yard. Yeah.
And another thing about this press conference I noticed, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but we seen the more confident Ryan Poles. We've seen the more confident Ryan Poles that we've been seeing in the last few weeks or last month or so.
That's because he's cooking right now, baby.
Yeah. Now I know a lot of us was ready. A lot of our Bears fans was ready to bury him. But I for one was a supporter of his, and I still am because I understand he's a young guy. He and Ben Johnson are both young guys. I think they may be 2 years apart or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm going to advise everyone, if this thing doesn't look good in the beginning, please don't say if the guy that takes the Jacksonville job is having success, please, I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, we should have took that guy. We should have, listen, this thing it may take a minute to cook, or we may pop off right away. Who knows? But if things get a little low or start a little slower, I advise everybody just please, stay with the course, please. Because a lot of us have a bad habit of,
Yeah, we jumped the gun too soon. We jumped ship, and we start mailing it in week 4. I've been a victim of that. But I think the year that I did it so bad, rightfully, we won 3 games that season.
Yeah.
I can tell by game 4 that wasn't a team. They didn't even deserve to be competing in the NFL that year. And we knew what it was. It was a teardown year. So it is what it is. Another thing I like about Ben Johnson is, he walks into the building and he comes in with his whole family.
Yes, indeed.
Those kind of guys like him that take his family with him to the first day, meeting the staff and players and stuff. Those kind of guys, they're going to succeed.
Yeah.
They're going to they're going to do everything it takes to succeed.
Yeah.
He's got those 3 little babies and his wife to, make sure it's taken care of.
Yes,
Kind of like
indeed.
Marcus Freeman up in Notre Dame. He's going to succeed.
Keep them on level ground, man.
Yep.
That's very important, because his job is rough no matter what team you're coaching. This is a very rough job, and I understand why those guys get paid the big bucks. I've heard some national pundits, try to compare, at this point, compare Johnson to coaches like Sean McVay, to compare him with coaches like Shanahan and even O'Connell, being that, being at this particular time, being may be more polarizing than those other guys as far as getting the job, because the O'Connell job, it wasn't very celebrated, even though he was good out there, and I do believe they was coming off a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But O'Connell to the Vikings was not very celebrated. Shanahan, everyone kind of knew what that was when he went to Frisco.
Yeah.
With him coming off a Super Bowl, coaching a Super Bowl. Even the thing with McVay, I think McVay's was celebrated a little bit because he's young, good-looking guy, young energy, and he's going out to California. But for guys to come into Chicago, this has been the biggest. This has been the biggest coaching hire that we've seen in a long time, especially with this organization.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, Ben Johnson's not a rock star like Sean McVay, but you can tell that Johnson is very confident. He's not a jerk. He's not and he could be an a-hole because sometimes you have to be.
Yeah.
But just coming in there, he understands himself very well, and I think that's going to be another thing, that's going to help him with the culture of this football team.
Yeah, 100%. You don't have to be a rah-rah guy.
Not at all.
I mean, Eberflus, people labeled him as a rah-rah guy coming in because, he played college ball, he played safety, he was a thumper in college or whatever. Everybody thought he was that rah-rah guy too. But it turned out whatever he was doing wasn't working. You've got guys like what's dude down in Dolphins coach, Mike. He's not a rah-rah guy. Yeah, I mean, he's not a rah-rah guy. And up until this year, he had his guys in the playoffs. So, competing for the playoffs every year and at least getting there. He couldn't help injuries and stuff. So that is what it is. Guys like that, they can still get it done. I mean, I wouldn't really label McVay as much of a rah-rah guy. He seems like more of the analytic guy, but he's getting it done. So
yes,
I don't think you have to be. I don't think you have to be that guy.
I think a lot of it is more about perception. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. But shout out to Greg Stevens. Shout out to Kareem Jackson, who said something very interesting that I want to touch on as well. Johnson made it known that Chicago was where he wanted to be. Now, we've heard everybody talk bad about our organization. They love the city of Chicago, and they may love other teams in Chicago. They may love Soldier Field and Hallis Hall, but the things they say about our organization, for that guy to stand up in front of everyone and make it be known that he wanted to be here, that's huge.
Yeah. It's huge. Especially after all the BS we've heard from, even outsiders, not
everybody.
Even on the team. If Ben Johnson doesn't want to be there, he wants to beat the Raiders. He wants a competent ownership team with Tom Brady and the free reign of the player personnel where he won't have it in Chicago, but it sure does seem like he's going to have, a good say in the player personnel. It's his playbook. Why wouldn't he have a good say in the player personnel? Seems like he's got good connections and stuff. So, hey, it's what Jalen Johnson said.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, a line of trust has to be established, because one guy can't do this alone.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's very few guys out here that want to do everything, and I don't think they want to do it off the rip. You know what I'm saying? I believe
Yeah.
some guys would want to get into a situation for a while to see how much they can handle, but to want to come in and handle everything off top, that's a bit much,
Yeah.
because as a leader, as a head of anything, you're only as good as the people that follow you or the people that you have on your team to help. Teamwork is a big deal, not just on the field.
And wouldn't you say that was kind of Fluce's downfall? I mean, he was an idiot when it came to time management.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. But that's why you have assistants at the same time in your headset talking to you.
right.
So obviously his assistants were lacking. I don't think he ever won a challenge while he's in Chicago. That's on his assistants. His offensive coordinator failed. We seen him get the boot 4 weeks into the season this year. Chris Morgan, we've already talked about him. So I mean, that's where Flus failed, was all of his assistants.
Well, that was one of the things, but for it to happen that way, at some point early on, there was a line of trust that was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the play on the field dictated that. And once that Hail Mary happened, it seemed like everyone else was like, hey, the hell with this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? Because once that line of trust is broken, it doesn't take much for this thing to be completely destroyed. Because the foundation is off. What's a house with no foundation, right?
That ain't a house.
So, yeah. So that was the thing that kind of doomed Eberflus.
Yeah.
But moving back into the Caleb and Ben Johnson dynamic, their ability to lean on each other and trust each other is going to be paramount. It's going to be everything for this offense.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like Caleb is very coachable, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of problems in that area. And I don't think it's going to be an issue with buying in from most of these guys at all anyway.
No, I don't think so either.
But Kareem, I'm going to shout out Kareem again for bringing that out, because that was one glaring thing. And I think it caught a lot of people off guard for him to say that he wanted this job, especially when they was trying to blow up the Raiders situation. And they even snuck the Jacksonville situation, which was very disrespectful. Because no one's going to pick Jacksonville over Chicago. I don't care who's there.
No.
So, that's going to go a long way. Even if things don't start out great, or, we don't get all the personnel that we may want at this time, the fact that this guy wanted this challenge is huge.
100%. I like what Gregory says here in the chat. You don't pay a coach 13 to 14 million. You don't pay him 14 million a year and not let him make player personnel decisions. I mean, that's not going to happen.
Exactly right.
That's a statement right there. That was Kevin Warren. That was George McCaskey. That was Ryan Poles saying, this is your team. Do what you need with it. We're here to support you. But this is your team.
Absolutely. Track says, found out earlier Ben has trouble with vets that can be combative or hard to deal with. This was earlier in his career. Hopefully that changed, because that's part of the job now. Yeah, that's true. You have to listen. You have to handle all of it, because a lot of the things that was happening in Detroit and in probably in other spots that he was in, he didn't have that responsibility to face those things.
Mm-hmm.
Now him being the head coach, if we have a guy that similar to the situation that was going on with Jameson Williams over there, he has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And he has to learn to deal with that in the correct manner. When he was a coordinator, all he had to really focus on was calling plays and just hope guys understand what they have to do when they sit on the field. But this is a different animal here.
Yeah.
You have your hand, and so you have your hand in everything. Everything that comes by you, you need to understand what it is, regardless on defense, special teams, especially on offense. And that was another thing that doomed Eberflus, because he didn't have too much input or didn't seem like he wanted to be involved in offensive issues.
Yeah.
And as a head coach, you got to want to be engulfed in everything that's a part of this team. You know, and we heard when they had the former OC from Green Bay in,
Yep.
that they didn't even speak.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, what is that?
That's unheard of.
Right,
That doesn't happen.
crazy. Like, so I think Ben Johnson understands this because I will always compare him, you know, to Eric Spoelstra with the Miami Heat because of his background, the way he came up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have no doubt in my mind that he's gonna be able to have full command of this football team. He's gonna get the full respect of every guy in the building, and you can tell how he came in before yesterday before the press conference when everybody was giving him a standing ovation. How he responded to all those people. Now those people work in Hallis Hall, they work in offices on computers, but he let it be known that, listen, you guys got a job too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You guys play a part of our success. You know, and that's huge, man.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I haven't, like, he wasn't my first choice, but I haven't felt this good about a head coach coming in here like this in a long time.
Yeah.
Everything's level.
And he comes in with a different persona than, you know, the past four guys have. He comes in with a history and he comes in with respect. I think on day one, as soon as he walked in that door, he had respect from every single person in that room. He had respect from every single person in the locker room. He had respect from every single person in the management hall. You know, he didn't walk in here trying to earn it. He walked in with it. He brought the respect with him, just because he's so decorated in his former positions of, you know, position coaches and then coordinating position at a high level. You know, it's not like he's just some rum dum that came in here and, you know, was an offensive coordinator for one of the greatest offensive play callers in the history of the sport. You know, and he just watched what he did and then tried to emulate it and it didn't work. But he was doing it himself. He was drawing up the plays. He was calling the plays. He's picking the personnel to be in on every formation, and he did it all. I mean, that was him. That wasn't that wasn't Campbell. That was Ben Johnson doing all that.
Absolutely. And shout out to Plank, because yeah, it is. I see about 64 people checking us out. Please, if you're new here, please like and subscribe. You'll love it here, I promise you. Shout out to Ant Mass. See you in the building. Welcome. Bear down, baby. But yeah, man, listen, it's a lot to be excited about, but I'm going to reiterate the fact that once the luster die down, we have to remain even.
Yep.
Yeah, we also have to remain united. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're gonna stay down. Of course, we're gonna stay down with Coach Johnson, but we also have to stay down with Ryan Poles.
Yep.
Listen, he's going to do his thing. Hopefully, he understands where he went wrong last year. He got us the coach that's necessary to lead this team. When it comes down to personnel decisions, when it comes down to players, he may not be able to get everybody we need, but he can get enough to make this thing look like an incline instead of a decline. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, it's gonna be interesting to see. This offseason is gonna be interesting. You know, I can't wait, man. I'm excited about the draft. I'm excited about free agency, which is really not that far away. It may seem like it, but it's not. It'll be here before you know it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm excited to see where we go in the draft. I've talked about I could trade down a couple picks in the first round just because I think the guy we would pick at 10 is going to be there at 15 to 18, somewhere in that range. So if we could trade down, make a little bit of money on it, if you want to call it that, a couple draft picks, why not? You know, you still get your guys, kind of like what we did with Darnell Wright. We traded down a spot, let the Philly take Jalen Carter because we knew we were going to take him. Took Darnell Wright and got an extra pick.
Yeah.
So it worked out there. It's not gonna work out every single time, but it might.
It might. Listen, man, look. All we gotta do is stick with it. That's how I feel. Shout out to Miss Cheryl. She's in the building. Bear down to you. Welcome, Jackie Latimer. Welcome. Bear down, sir. Appreciate that plank. Dustin. Welcome, man. What up? What up? But yeah, we need. Hey, I'm with Amas. Amas said we need to support the team and not be divided. Sorry, Tampa Bay fans. Just you need to support. He say, nah. What did it say? TV is that
Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown fans. You need to support Caleb. Yes, indeed.
I think his fans are gone after his second game. So
I don't know, man. Thomas Brown was easy to root for. He was easy to root for. He just didn't have a good go at it. That's for sure. Hopefully he lands on his feet somewhere for sure. You got anything else you want to add tonight, man?
No, I don't think so. I think I do want to say I think Ben Johnson's coming here with the mentality that Mike Ditka did back in '82. We're going to be in a Super Bowl in 3 years. The only problem is half these guys aren't going to be here to see it. So I hope that's the attitude he came in with. That's the attitude I want to see him have. That's the attitude I want to see Ryan Poles have and Kevin Warren and George McCaskey. We're going to be in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years before Caleb's contract is up. And the only problem is half the guys that are here right now won't be here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but hey, it may be a fortunate thing because one thing about it, everybody can't go, man.
Yep.
That's the evil side of this game. Everybody can't go. But with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. The newcomers, please like and subscribe. And welcome to the Chicago Sports Podcast. You'll love it here, I promise you. Shout out to Trax, especially, like I said, couldn't do it without him. Shout out to you, Bradley. Appreciate you, sir, for
absolutely, brother,
hanging out with me tonight. And peace up and bear down to everybody. Everybody be safe. I know the conditions are not very likely. I'm here in Atlanta. We're under a state of emergency because of the weather. And I know it's pretty cold up there. I've seen and heard some things. So you guys stay warm up there. I'm going to do my best to do the same here. Everyone be safe and bear down.
Bear down.